Welcome to SolarTechDIY.com. This is Patrick speaking, and right now I'm going to demonstrate how to apply clear silicone caulking over the tabbing wire. Now we only do this on the back side of our string or the positive side of the solar cell. What we do not do is paint any clear silicone on the gaps in between the cells. We only want to get it just over the bus bar. You want to paint the bus tab, get it so that it covers the surface just lightly. You don't want to gob it on too heavily, just a light coating. And it's going on white. However, we're using clear silicone, so it will dry clear and just be sort of transparent. Now, why would we go through this step? We're going to encapsulate it probably, but this thin layer of silicone caulking provides a second layer of protection, and it's designed to augment the encapsulant you use, and it also gives the additional benefit of providing additional strength and greater bonding between the cell and the tabbing wire. These are going to be in service for many years, multiple decades, 2 decades at least. So it's got to be such that overlapping protection is not redundant. It's a good idea. Now, having this silicone caulking over the tabbing wire not only provides a weather protection but also physical protection. And what I mean by that is when you're lifting up the string to place it into a substrate or a solar piece of tempered glass, it's easiest to pick up the string by the tabbing wire strips protruding over either end, because you can pick it up, set it down precisely where you want it. If I hadn't applied the silicone, I wouldn't feel so confident in the solder joints. Not that they wouldn't hold, but I just don't feel comfortable subjecting them to that kind of stress because I don't know what the long-term effect. Am I loosening the bond? Am I setting up a failure somewhere down the road? I just don't know. So I feel much better knowing that the silicone is helping augment that bond. It doesn't make them bulletproof. You can't swing them around, but you get the idea. It's just another layer of protection that provides protection across multiple fronts. Now, when I'm using this paintbrush, if you've never worked with clear silicone caulking or caulking of any type, it's a gelatinous substance. It's a solid, but it's very malleable, very easy to paint. It works very nicely, requires no pressure whatsoever on the cells, so there's virtually no danger of damaging or dislodging, even though you just saw me place a weight onto one that had some movement. That presents a particular challenge. I'm going to have to go back and render aid to that particular bus tab, so we're going to mark it with the weight. Now the cell to the left of my placement weight, you can see we already coated that with silicone. In fact, that was a previous video where we had some issues with that. Now remember, when you're working on a string like we're doing here, this particular string has 9 cells. At either end of our string, we must have opposite polarity. So at, say, the right side of this string, the tabbing wire strips at the end of the last solar cell need to come from either the top of the solar cell, which would be the sun facing or negative side, or coming right off the back of the cell here and protruding out over, which would be the positive lead. Now, whichever that particular right side of the string is, the left side must be the opposite. And we'll cover that more later. Uh, in fact, we have a video on the subject of connecting strings where I address this in great detail. Now, one of the primary benefits of applying this clear silicone caulking is that it acts as a barrier against moisture. Moisture does not discriminate between factory manufactured solar panels and the units you and I handcraft. It equally destroys all solar modules. One telltale sign that moisture has been introduced into your solar module is you'll see rust on your tabbing wire. That's a good sign that, or it's not a good sign, it is a sign that moisture is present. You'll see it not just in handcraft DIY solar panels, but also manufactured panels. So if anyone ever tells you that your solar module that you're building DIY fashion is inferior, that's just not the case. These can be constructed safely and with the same reliability as anything coming out of a factory. In fact, I might offer the argument that these are better because they are individually handcrafted. Each component receives our utmost attention. We're giving it our personal attention to detail, pride of construction by our hands. We're going to make sure that we're producing a solid, reliable, dependable unit. There's no purpose for turning out a piece of garbage because this unit will be serving me and my family, or yours will be serving you and yours. So we're going to do a good job. But moisture will find a way in if you allow the opportunity. Now, everyone knows, or at least they should know, that water and electricity do not play well together. That's one of the anomalies of submarines, right? You have direct current batteries and lots of them in the ocean. At least during World War II, that was an interesting problem. Now, the clear silicone will, in this case, be working in conjunction with an encapsulant. Now, some individuals like to use encapsulant, some use EVA wrap. There's other methods, but personally I prefer encapsulants because they envelope and surround the solar cells in a cushion, sort of a rubber-like gel. And that gel provides a cushion against micro cracks. Micro cracks sometimes result from temperature fluctuations. High heat will cause all of the materials to expand. Conversely, extreme cold will cause everything to contract. And that fluctuation day in and day out over time can lead to micro cracks. And micro cracks are a source of internal resistance. And that resistance comes from within the cell structure itself. So it's difficult to combat. So the best way to combat it is use a product that protects the cells and disallows micro cracks. Resistance can come from wiring that's too small, too thin for the load it's carrying. It can come from damaged conduit, nicks, cracks, things like that. So you don't want your excited electrons experiencing any problems. So moisture, no place for it inside a solar cell. The encapsulant protects not only against moisture but against movement. So the encapsulant and the clear caulking work in conjunction. You want to protect these for as long as you can, keep it in service. Okay, the next video you will see me placing this string into a substrate as we prepare the panel for encapsulation. Actually, we're going to connect these strings so you get to see the whole process. And we will see you then. You're doing a good job. If you're at this stage in your project, you're doing very well and you're moving along. So stick with it, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks again. This is Patrick with SolarTechDIY.com.